All right. Hey there, everyone. Good to see everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're just going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes because folks will continue to jump on in. Hey there, Ariane. Hey there, Chantel. Good to see y'all. Good afternoon.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
Hey, hey. All right, let me just quickly take a look. All right, well, everyone, folks are going to continue to roll on in, but I want to be mindful of you all's time. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for attending today's session. I am very pleased to introduce our speaker today, Michelle Mackel, the CEO and founder of Plugstar Entertainment. I had the pleasure of meeting her back at Grind Pretty Fest a couple of weeks ago. She's an experienced publicist who has a lot of experience also working with influencers and brands as well. So, Michelle, our community is very excited to hear from you, learn more about your background and the tips and tricks that you have in space. And without further ado, please, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, guys. It's such a pleasure. I really am excited about this. Like he said, I am a publicist for Plugstar Entertainment, which I am the CEO and founder of. We deal with a range of talent, from mainstream to indie artists to entrepreneurs to experts and speakers. So we really don't have a specific niche. We actually work with everyone that is in talent, from opportunities as far as in booking, opportunities to just PR work. But without further ado, I'll go over this amazing slide I accomplished last minute. So how to collaborate effectively with influencers.
All right. Moving on, there we go.
Okay. As the landscape changes throughout marketing and continues to evolve, influencer marketing has emerged as powerful as a tool to reach engagement. Plugstar, we specialize in leveraging influencer marketing and driving brand awareness, fostering authenticity, and boosting brand growth. Let's explore how influencers collaborate with your brands. This lady on the screen is Dr. Robin B. We had the pleasure of having her 2 years ago, where she came on. She was someone I had been watching on social media for a while and just needed a little direction. And so I reached out to her, actually in her DM, and said, hey, girl, you have what it takes. I don't know if you're working with brands. And she said, no, I never thought about that. The only brand that she was working with at the time was Pretty Little Things. And I said, well, I see you becoming more of an expert in your field. I see that you really give out advice for health and wellness. And I think we can, do something for your brand. So she was like, well, I'm willing to try. So I had her for a month, and she was a Essence health and wellness speaker that year. And since then, she has took off. She has right now over 1 million following. And so that just shows an example of how PR can really boost up your brand awareness and connects with brands. And ever since then, she's worked with Essence every year since then.
Quick question, Michelle, and there's going to be a lot of them as we move forward in the presentation, but that's a great case study. When you said that you reached out to her via DM and told her that she had the goods, what were those goods? Like, what stood out about her that maybe other founders could be mindful of?
Yes, I think what stand out for me the most was that she had a story. Like, she was actually demonstrating her story on social media without even realizing that she was doing it. And in PR, that's what we do. We take your story and we push it out into media. So I could tell what she was passionate about on her page. Her page wasn't like all over the place. Like some people I look at, I can't really figure out what direction or what they're really truly interested in. I could tell that she had a specific niche that she really showed on her page, which was more health and wellness and fitness. And so with those three trifectas, we're like, we can connect her with brands easily because that's health and wellness. Health and wellness right now is booming in the industry, and especially with her being African American right now, and brands are really connecting more with health and wellness with African American influencers. So she just fit all the check marks. So, and then she carried herself very well. She was very professional on her page. She didn't have a lot of stuff on her page that was like red flag, I would say, that most brands should look for. And so reaching out to her and speaking with her a few times after that, I just seen easily what she was more passionate about, more about her story, which makes it more authentic to connect our talent to brands when we get to know them more and their interests.
Well said. And another just very quick follow-up, and I only ask this because everyone on this call has their own social media accounts. They're all creating content. So when you initially started working with Dr. Robin B, was she in the the flows and the cycle of constantly rolling out content? Did you just see a handful of videos that you thought had? Okay, yeah, please. So she was like in the flow.
She was doing actually a podcast at the time when I discovered her, where she was on live social media. It was called Pretty Little Doctor. And that resonated to me too, because she was also branding herself, which most influencers and stuff sometimes don't know how to do. And so that was half the battle for us. She's branding herself. She's already showing us what her target market is and what niches she like, and she had a story. And so, like I said, getting to know her a little bit more too is always helpful, because then I know her reason why and what's her mission and what she really needed help with, what she was doing well on her own, but what she needed maybe a team to just push her in the direction where she needs to. Some of the clientele that we have, even mainstream talent that we work with, they're doing the work, and they just don't know how to direct that to go to the next level, or maybe they just need a team to manage some of it for them. So that's when a publicist will come in and assist, just maximizing their efforts.
Appreciate the insight there. Move on to the next slide.
And that went perfectly into my next slide. Into our amazing, this is still my talent I have right now. She's been going on about to be 3.5 years. I don't know if y'all are familiar with her, but Tamika Murphy, her brand is called Alani Taylor. It promotes Black legacy. It's named after her daughter. It's a clothing line, but she has an amazing story, and how we met was incredible. We actually met at an NFL event where I had actually had a couple clients booked for author readings, and we're giving back to the community. And she was there just, scoping the area. And I said, "Aren't you that girl that designed for Beyonce?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And I said, "Well, I know your story." Being the publicist I am, I said, "I know you're prior military, and I'm prior military as well too." So we connected on that level. And so she said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a publicist." And immediately she said, "Okay, I'm gonna walk away now." And I said, "Why?" She said, "I do not deal with publicists." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because every publicist I've ever dealt with has scammed me." And I said, "Wow," that immediately made me feel horrified. And I said, "Well, I feel like the world owes you something. The caliber that you are in, that a publicist was scamming you is crazy to me. So I'm gonna do you a service and I'm gonna work for you for free for a quarter. And you let me know what publicity does for you. And so she was shocked. She was like, okay, it's free, no problem. So and I normally don't do that, but she was at the time, you know, we had where we could do a pro bono project, and she has done the work. I don't feel like she should ever been, you know, treated in that way. So we took her on, and immediately after a month, she said, "Oh no, I'm hiring you." She said, "You're not going anywhere. You're with me for life. You have done more for my career than anyone has done for me." And the reason why is because I feel like a lot of people didn't get to know her and her story and the things that she likes to do and about her real true mission and her goals are. And since then, she's opened up a whole different company. She has another company that we are also the publicist for, which is called The Lab, where they it intertwines with her original idea, which it just allows fostering Black brands to be able to be visible and seen. And then she has one of the biggest Black owned manufacturing companies right now. And she works with everybody in the industry. And as well as we connect her with companies to do their merch. She did the clothes for Essence. She did the clothes for Revolt, summits and different things like that. So that just shows how when you have someone that is doing the work, they can still benefit from PR and also influence and marketing and still be able to go to the next level.
Well said, Michelle. I'm tracking a couple of things here. So when I think about Dr. Robin and Tamika Murphy, it seems like you reach these founders when they reach a certain point, right? They have to show you some effort. They have to show you some work. You can't just start with a complete blank canvas, whether it be, you know, identifying what their story is, or, you know, having consistency with their social content. It seems like when they have a handle on one of those two things, you're able to help connect them to more opportunities. Is that fair to say, or is that maybe presumptuous?
Yeah, it's true. And I will say this. We have worked with a couple of people that right now that blew up, I would say, that did not have much of a story, but it, it wasn't really that they didn't have, I shouldn't say much of a story. They just didn't know what their story really was per se. I had to kind of talk with them and kind of figure out, like, you know, like I said, what your passions are and stuff. If you don't know that, it makes it really hard. And I don't like working in that way. So yes, a lot of publicists don't. We want you to come with your story, and then we can build on top of that and magnify your story even louder. But there was a couple of cases that I just see them doing the work, and they didn't realize they were even doing the work. They just need someone to help them try to piece their story together. And that was at least two cases that we do have right now that is doing amazing things. One guy right now, actually, he's just partnered with Lego. And he was someone from Oklahoma, actually. And that was actually someone that was, I would say, a pro bono project of mine at first. Because I seen him working in the community in a way where he was changing lives for young boys, and he deserved to be able to get the attention of the media. And he just didn't realize he was just doing it because he loved his community. And I let him know that you have to build a brand, you have to start, you know, moving a certain way, because then when you connect with these bigger brands that have the funding to support what you're doing, then you are able to help more people. And if you don't do it that way, then you're not able to really do the mission that you're intended to do. And so I helped him piece his story to be able to get him in a place where he's able to make a bigger difference in this community. And so, yes, it can happen, but it's very challenging. And I don't necessarily recommend it if it's not necessarily something that I feel as though that you are, you know, it speaks to your heart, I should say.
I, I appreciate you touching on that. I think for a little bit of context, we've got a lot of founders within the studio that have nonprofits. We have folks that are addressing critical issues, whether it be, you know, providing wigs for those that are dealing with medical hair loss, or creating hair care products that are suitable for for people that are dealing with medical related hair loss, or creating products that address wellness holistically for those dealing with anxiety and a lot of other things. So there is a real impact overlap with a lot of brands, but it seems like everyone has an impact angle. How do brands stand out, in a sea of other folks that are also, making a difference in some way or another?
Well, I think you kind of said it as well too. Knowing your demographic first is great to start. If you know who you're reaching, then you know who you want to reach. So knowing that, and then you can strategically say, hey, the ones that we're not reaching, case study wise, why aren't we reaching these people? And then you could kind of pivot from there. Then what is the story that we need to say or to fit to reach those viewers, and maybe what outlets? And then that's what we do as a publicist. We say, hey, what outlets is going to help them get to that point? Maybe the outlets that they're being visible on are the demographic of this and this. And if they're wanting to be on this, let's say Gen Z, maybe we need to get on these younger outlets, or whatever it might be. Or if it's something like nonprofit wise, maybe it's something we need to do more in certain community areas to get you to the market and where you want to be. So we would just have to look at everything and see strategically how we would develop a plan within a certain amount of time.
Well said. I promise I'm not going to take up more time in the presentation. You know me, I'm just going to have my questions, but we can keep things moving. And, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask Michelle, please feel free to throw them in the chat, or feel free to just come off of mute if you would like as well. So we're going to keep on moving forward with the presentation, but really appreciate the context in these case studies, Michelle. It's very helpful.
Oh, my pleasure. And we kind of touched on this, identifying the right influencer. So like I was saying, demographics really help. If you know your demographics is this age group, you want to look for an influencer in that right demographic. Researching the influencer content style, engagement is good. Also, I will add on here, I don't think I have it on here, but I do. Just knowing what they're passionate about. As a brand, I don't want to have someone align with my brand that isn't positive. If that, so that's one of the things I kind of put out there all the time. And there's other brands that I work with that say, hey, Michelle, we want someone, let's say, for instance, UPS, and I work very closely with them. They don't want to really work with, well, they don't mind, but they choose to work with people that are shipping with UPS. They want loyal customers as their influencers to work with. So, and some people are not like that. Some brands, they want to work with different people who are maybe never heard of their brand, but they want to know authentically if they like their brand. And but they have to have a passion maybe in the field that they're in. If it's health and wellness, if you don't really like health and wellness, why would I pick you as an influencer to really say if you like my brand or not, because you don't really even use those type of products. So knowing just what your influencer interests are, if it aligns, will make sense.
Any questions here before we move to the next slide? All right, if so, please feel free to throw it in the chat.
Okay, I put low cost strategies on here just for some brands to know that there's different ways that you can work with your influencer. Don't feel like you have to just do where I know some brands, they do where affiliate marketing or ambassadorship type ways of doing it. There's so many other ways that these influencers are now capitalizing in a sense. And I feel like you should have more options and different ways to be able to working with certain influencers that might help your brand grow even further. So I wrote some of the options on here at how to be able to connect with your influencers and leveraging getting content back. So one I really do like, and a lot of my influencers, we do a every quarter we get a feedback survey out to our talent, and they'll send it back. One of the things they really do like a brand we're working with right now, Juvia, they did it where they get the content. Once they approve the content, then they might they pay out 14 days later, but they also send all the makeup and everything like that, let's say beforehand. We're getting a really good response on that. Instead of just doing it where it's just like an ambassador link type situation, you're posting the link. So I think just coming up with creative ways to be able to work with your influencers is a way to be able to also work on low cost, but then also where you get maybe a real fan out of your brand, a loyal customer, because I have a couple of different influencers that's worked with them recently, and they love their stuff, and they're actually using the money they're getting paid to buy the stuff. So they're going back in Ulta and buying more. So that's also where you can sometimes get your influencer to actually really commit with your brand.
It seems like that's where identifying who your target demographic is can become critical in terms of finding the right influencer. I mean, if you have the right alignment, it sounds as though you could potentially gift or give a good discount on the product, and then that could provide suitable payment, and then they can create content for your brand if they're just a super fan. Which is interesting. But just to make sure I understand, was that more of a gifting type of approach that you would recommend there, or was there a slight tweak on that? Because you had mentioned the payment piece as well.
Yeah, they did pay them to do the posting. So it was a gifting too, but I think they did right on that, to gift it to them, because it just allowed our influencers, once they were gifted it, they were able to do unwrapping of it on their social media as well too, to just see kind of how it comes and everything else. Then they also went to the actual location and seeing how it was displayed and everything. Then they used the products, and they just loved it. They enjoyed it. And a lot of our influencers love to know that there was even a Black brand like that that they could connect with into Ulta. So like one of the ladies that I had, that she literally, as soon as she got done with her video, she said, "This is crazy, but I really like the stuff." So I went back and bought the set. And I said, okay, the next day. So, she was just like, "I'm just glad I did it, because I'm buying the makeup anyway." And most of these influencers they're buying the makeup anyway. So, making the connection with y'all, if it's gifting or whatever, sometimes it helps them too, because they're constantly needing new makeup to do videos or whatever. So it's a win-win for both.
Well said. Appreciate that. And again, everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Dr. Natalie, we're going to get to your question in just a moment. Just a couple more slides, and then we should be good to go. So, cost for an influencer. Any thoughts on this piece? Here, Michelle.
I feel like we kind of went over some of this, but let me see. Yeah, we don't necessarily have to go over this. Just all the different ways you can be able to connect.
Quick question on the cost per click piece. How do you track the number of clicks? If you are working with an influencer who has visibility over their own proprietary data, like for their platform and stuff, or like their
so
account.
I've seen it
how would that be
different
tracked?
ways. Yeah, I've seen it a lot of ways. So you can do it by a code. I know they've done it like that. And I've seen it where it's necessarily a click. I know Amazon does it like that with some of their influencers, where there's a link that they give them every time it's being clicked. They can see on the back end, like generate how many clicks they're getting on their landing page, like who's actually buying, who's not, and I think they pay out, I want to say quarterly on top of my head. And so then they know like kind of what their revenue would be at the end of the quarter. And they can then track to see like, okay, if I'm getting 90 clicks and I'm only getting 20 people that's buying, then maybe I need to, as the influencer, they're able to say, hey, maybe I need to make different type of content, or what was that content that got me those sales, and see maybe I need to do more content like that. They can pivot throughout that quarter. And I think that it's been good too. That's actually a great way to kind of do it as well too, because then they have some time to pivot throughout. I know that the one that I'm getting the most feedback is generally the one where they get paid a little bit quicker. Some influencers, they don't want to wait that long to necessarily get the payment, but they do like the analytics of all that. So maybe if someone could create one where they get both, then I think that would be the perfect model.
Appreciate that. And another quick question. So there's cost per engagement, we have cost per click, there's cost per acquisition. It sounds like it gets progressively more, you know, valuable down the stack there. In terms of what generates the best return on investment for brands, do you find that cost per acquisition is the best metric to go by? Or do you think cost per click or cost per engagement? I would imagine it's acquisition, but what would your thoughts be?
Yeah, I think so too. I think cost of acquisition, if not necessarily that, I would say, yeah, I agree. I think that's would be probably the best one. I've heard on the brand side of things. But also, like I said, look and see how these work for you and your brand, and not just like get you that engagement, because what you're really doing this for with the influencers is for the engagement, for the attention, and then you can outweigh the cost as well too. Is it worth the cost? That's what I would say, because you may do well on the cost value, but is the engagement where you want it to be? Are you connecting to that demographic the way you normally should? So I think all that plays into it. So cost is definitely a factor, but engagement is the reason why you're doing the cost.
Well said. I know you're going to touch on this in a minute. Would it be all right if we just take one quick moment to answer a question
Yeah, certainly.
that we have here in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Natalie, appreciate you being so patient. You got a lot of sentences here, and I'm happy to go ahead and read it. But I don't want to botch it. Would you like to come off of mute, real quick, and ask?
Sure. If you give me. Sorry, I was in a louder area. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good to hear from you.
Awesome. And for some reason, I'm having audio issues. But basically, hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So my question was really around, whether it's a new brand. We're a new brand. First and foremost, I'm Dr. Natalie. I'm the CEO and founder of Flore. We're an integrated health and beauty company. I am a former healthcare provider. So along this journey, I've tried to build my personal brand along with my brand, of course. And I guess my question is really for either a new brand, or if you're trying to position your brand as a founder brand, what would you suggest for those companies that maybe the budget is not as high to really implement PR as a total strategy, but you want to, test out some opportunities? From what I've seen so far is that most PR, whether it's agencies or even independent PR, they kind of require like a 3 to 4 month retainer, which I think for most people can be a little cost prohibitive. So I don't know, just in those scenarios, what would you suggest? Or is that something you guys do as well?
So you're so right. Coming from a military background and also being a mom, PR is expensive. It is. I go off the gate telling everyone that if you don't have a budget dedicated towards it, you might want to, hold off and wait. But there is still things that you can implement on your own. One thing I have trained people to do is if you are in health and wellness, start looking up some of these health and wellness brands. Every health and wellness brand, just a little tidbit, and publicists don't like me telling this tea, but I'm gonna tell you because I believe that if I give it to you or not, if you're a good researcher, you're gonna figure it out. So free game. Every every outlet has a media kit. Every outlet. Generally, especially the big ones, the ones that you want to be recognized on. Reach out to them, let them know your brands, offer to maybe even, we don't do this as publicists, but I do see other brands do it all the time. And sometimes I recommend it. You could reach out to those people and offer to give them, maybe gift them your brand and see how they like it. And if they love it, they'll write about it. Maybe they won't. You make your own pitch, learn how to formulate a pitch. You are your best salesperson. It starts with you. So it's your story. You should be able to, give that story out better and more effectively if you practice on it. And then when you are able to get to yourself at a certain point in budget, then you could reach out to a publicist and let them know, because it is expensive. One of the things that I have done different in my model, and most don't do as PR, is that I have different tiers. So for my small businesses, I charge differently than I would charge a mainstream artist or mainstream or a big huge company, because your budgets are not the same. Your brand where you're at is not in the same place. I might have to build you up where they are already built up. So it's a little bit different. So I think it should be a different cost. And a lot of brands, a lot of publicists, they don't have those different tiers. Some do. And also different. I don't do a 6-month retainer. A lot of brands, NPR and publicists, they have a 6-month retainer, and you have to pay upfront. And I know that's really hard for small businesses to come up with that money right then there. We at Pugstar, we have where you do a contract every month, where it's for a 3-month time frame, but you have to pay it every month, and it's contractual, so you don't have to come up with all those funds right then and there. And so that's a little bit of a difference. So I say also do your research and see what publicist and what brand firm works for your brand. Not everyone is meant to work with your brand. There's synergy, and sometimes there's just not. They could be great at what they do, but if they don't believe in the brand and they're not willing to grow it the way you need it to grow, then it doesn't make sense of you wasting the money. So that's kind of the things I would tell you. But start with you for sure. Like if y'all can just do some research, have some goals, write down some goals of certain magazine outlets or maybe podcasts or whatever it might be, that you want to see your brand in, and start studying those outlets. And then I bet you'll be able to do a great job yourself too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Natalie. Kendira, feel free to come off of mute if you'd like.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I got my AirPods in. So we worked with, for those, where the budget is a concern. It is for all of us, same pain. But there are publicists out there or people in PR to work with, at least on a monthly basis, to help curate your brand story and get a pitch deck together.
I
And that
agree.
has helped us so much. I did invest in that because, I had a story, but you just need that person to help you be able to put it together and how to craft a great pitch deck. And, we've done that. Once we got it together, then we went on a hunt to get all of the email addresses for all of the editors anywhere, people that we wanted to work with that align with our brand's mission. And we pitched them on our own.
Mhm.
And some we got features from, and some, they wanted to test out our product. And it was like 6 months later, they'll just email us and say, hey, I remember you sending this product. I did get a chance to try it, and we've included you in, our December gifting roundup or something like that. So it is time consuming if you're doing it on your own, but it's like you're going to have money or time to invest. And I do think it's worth it.
I love that. And I love to hear that you did that for yourself because honestly, yeah, you can. It's achievable. And yes, with publicists, we have better relationships with these, outlets because we work with them constantly. But you could build that relationship yourself too. It's just really, like she said, time consuming. And some people are would prefer to have a team to advocate for their brand than them working on that as well as everything else they have to do to build the brand. So we are a support team. PR is a support team. Look at us as an extension of you, and we're just here to be able to get you where you need to be and craft your story the way you want to be crafted. And we might have the expertise, but you're more than welcome to handle it yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kendira. That really means a lot, and it's great to have the founder's perspective that have worked with
Yeah.
publicists in the past. Ovi, I see your question. I think we have a couple more that are coming through via DM. We're gonna push through just a couple more slides, and then we're gonna address these questions in a few. But thank you all so much for your attention and the interest here, and we're just gonna keep on pushing on. So, as we talk a little bit more about the ROI and the cost of influencers, can you walk us through the thought process of an influencer? And I'm sure some of this does, of course, translate to what your brand story is and what the alignment's going to be with the respective influencer. But from their perspective, what should founders be mindful of before they approach these folks? What are these influencers thinking? Michelle, if you could touch on that.
Yeah, most of the times my influencers generally let me know, like, first thing they say, are they gonna want me to do the content the way they want me to do it, or if I had to do it the way they want it. Yes, they're paying, but I want to have creative freedom. If I really want to authentically connect this brand to my audience, I want to be able to have a little bit of freedom there to play with, to be able for my viewers to really love it. And I suggest letting them. The creativity makes the content just look amazing. It definitely helps your brand to connect to their target audience. And I think that's probably one thing that I hear a lot on both sides. Like, because of course the brand has a way of where they want their brand to be looked at in front of the audience as well too. So I think also that goes back to picking the right influencer that you already know will demonstrate your brand the way you want it to be looked at, and then just trusting the process. And another thing I definitely deal with constantly on the influencer side is what is this brand's like representation like? And I tell them, well, first thing I tell them, do you know about this brand? Do you use this brand? Do you use similar brands that are like this brand? And they'll let me know yes or no. And if they say no, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I don't automatically say, hey, well then, this is not the brand for you. I say, do a little research on it, look at it, or I sent you some information on it. Let me know what you think. And then we'll follow back up. And then I'll follow up with them and say, okay, what you think? And I'll hear what their input is. And then you'll know if it's aligned or not, if it doesn't connect. Sometimes it just doesn't connect. They won't be a good influencer for that brand because maybe they looked up that I had one lady that looked up and she's really big on animals. Like she loves her animals like it's her family, extension of her family. And this company, I guess, some of this products that's in it, it's not friendly to animals. So of course it was going to be a line. So that's one of the things I definitely deal with on the influencer side. But then also, like I said, on the brand side, it goes back to picking the right influencer. If you look on their page and maybe learn a little bit about them, you'll know what their passions are, what their missions are, what they are against, and what they're for.
So it sounds like the incentive isn't just monetary. There's a creative incentive that should be considered. I guess it does make sense. If it's not on brand, then of course they're not going to want to do it, even though a check could be presented. So it seems as though founders need to really study these influencers and make sure they're presenting an opportunity for them to create some cool content, as opposed to just trying to hand a check or do some gifting.
Yeah, it's definitely not all about the money and the gifting. So, some of these influencers, and I would say a lot of them, are really passionate about giving authenticity to their audience. So if it doesn't resonate for what they built, they take it just as, I would say as cautious as the person who is the brand. So they both have a lot to lose on both sides. They they have raised their viewers so high, so they don't want to risk losing those viewers, which is ultimately their money and income too. So, so they're very careful on that.
Yeah. I wonder, in terms of pitching influencers, a lot of my brands, do have a clear understanding of who their target demographic is, their age range, where they like to purchase things, the pain points that their products address. Would it be compelling to kind of reverse engineer and go to an influencer and say, hey, like our demographic are women, in between the ages of 20 and 35 that make this level of income, XYZ. I've noticed your content. It seems like there's a whole lot of overlap. There's a lot of interest. That's collab. Like, would coming at it from more of a metric standpoint and say, hey, collaborating with our brand can help increase your brand. Is that compelling, or is that too salesy? Is that too businessy to think about?
I actually do have some influencing marketing teams that that we partner with that reach out to us all the time with decks. So they'll send us a deck and say, hey, these are demographics, what we're looking for. We see, and they're amazing. They will crop some of my talents photos in it and put it in the actual deck and say, hey, from our perspective, these influencers will do well with this brand, and we think it's a perfect marriage. So what do you think, pretty much? And I'm like, I love it. And sometimes seeing it and seeing all the data and stuff, I am able as the publicist to kind of take that information and say, hey, someone's interested in you and they've done the work to really get to know you and what you like, and they feel like this brand would be a good fit for XYZ, and they're like, okay, all right, let's do it, let's check it out and go from there. So that can open up the conversation to be more, I would say, productive.
Appreciate that.
But you don't have to do all
that. Well, that's why I'm glad we have you on the call. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about those services that you provide in the back end. But Kandira, do you have a question? Just wanted to clarify.
Oh, I forgot to lower my hand. Sorry.
That's all good. It's all good. Just a couple more slides, everyone, and then we will open up the floodgates for some more questions. So as far as collaboration arrangements, does this kind of tie into the different ways that you can partner at low cost, right? Or would this be somewhat of a different approach?
It is in a sense, but it ties into that. So again, like I was saying before, affiliate marketing, you can do influencer discounts. It's just different ways that you can work with the influencer. Event partnerships, which we are really expanding a lot on event partnerships. Like I was saying, mentioning Essence before, but then also there's a different company that we're about to work with that's doing cans in France with Times Magazine that they need influencers and creatives on the stage to do panels. So that's kind of where we do our event partnerships and stuff like that. As well as, so then it's not just where you're getting the products and you're repping the brand, you're now also partnering with the brand and also telling them about your story as well too. So you're in partnership. And I think that a lot of influencers are gearing towards that more because they want long relationships with these brands. They don't want to necessarily just get paid for posting and different things like that. They want to be able to also tell their story, who they are outside of social media that people see, and to your audience as well, and vice versa.
You know, I'm sorry. I don't want to put you on the spot, but that just got me really excited thinking back
That's
to what we were
fine.
talking about earlier. So like, you know, thinking about the case study with Tamika Murphy, I believe, you know, her name was the founder of the clothing line. You know, and you were talking about how when you had met her, you thought, you know, what she was doing was amazing, and then you ended up getting her booked at Essence, and then it grew her follower count, and then she was able to build like a really strong brand from there. You had mentioned earlier, we were talking, and everyone, I want you all to know, I've gotten the chance to get to know Michelle over the past couple of weeks, and she's already come to me with a couple of different really awesome opportunities for founders. Can you talk a little bit about the Cane's opportunity and the beauty product opportunity potentially, even if it's just for a minute?
Okay. Yes. So we have partnered with the marketing team that does the event in Cannes, France, with Times Magazine, and what they're looking for is talent on the stage, influencers and such things that is open up to creatives. So they are highlighting creatives that are normally not seen. So they don't want really artists. They want fashion designers. They want beauty. They want authors, and that's pretty much the talent that we're working on right now. So they're going to be doing a beauty activation booth, and they're looking for brands to be able to highlight in that beauty activation or to do their own activation. So I will be looking for brands that align with what they're doing there. We're also partnering with a couple of different liquor brands, and to have the event have spirits and stuff during the event. So it's a great opportunity. They just recently did a authors round. It was kind of like a competition to get into this, and we have so many people who won, but we're looking for big celebrity authors right now to put on the stage. That way they can kind of have some of them tell their panels, be on the panels and telling their story, such things like that. So that's what we're looking for as far as in that activation. And then we have a few other ones that we're looking for beauty brands as well for.
Appreciate that, Michelle. I just wanted to give everyone some insight on the different opportunities that are just serendipitous. They come across, and there is an opportunity for brands to activate, like at the Cannes Film Festival, or you know, with a TV network or something of that nature. So it seems as though there are a lot of different ways to, you know, garner more visibility for your brand. And this will actually lead me into a quick question before we wrap up here. But you know, you've talked a lot about the PR route, right? Whether it be booking interviews and getting visibility with large corporations and events and stuff like that. And you talked about the influencer route. From a brand perspective, do you find that there's more ROI on the PR route and going that side of things, or in working with influencers? What would you recommend, kind of in your experience, to be a better fit, just generally?
Well, I might be a little bit biased, but I'm gonna say the PR route.
No, let's talk about it.
So, but yeah, I would say the PR route. I feel like you get a better return that way, because we just don't work on just telling your story into press, connecting you with people who necessarily fit your brand, but you get way more for your investment. if you're willing to invest, if you have the investment. With the influencer, you're only limited, you're not getting the press really behind it. You're doing the press yourself, or, or maybe the press is coming to you based off of that influencer, but you're not really telling your story. You're getting maybe where the influencer is saying they love your brand, but you're not getting they're not getting the full scope of your brand the way you would get it from a PR perspective, where we can work on several different things that you might need.
Appreciate that. Well said. We have 10 more minutes, so I'm just gonna, bring it on home with the conclusion slide here. But now would be a good time. If anyone has any questions and would like to come off of mute, please feel free to do so. And in doing so, we'd love to hear your name, your brand, and where you're calling from today. The more context that Michelle has, the more knowledge she can grant to all of us. So if anyone wants to come off of mute, please feel free to do so.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, can you guys hear me? It's Kaya, right?
Yeah.
How are you? How is everybody?
Hey,
Hi,
Kaya.
Ryan. Hi, everybody. Hi, Michelle. Thank you to
Hey,
Isabel
hit me
for
with your
sharing
shot.
all your well, I'm a celebrity stylist. I am coming out with my brand this September. And
Okay.
one of the questions and challenges that I think that I've had, just kind of coming near this, this approaching the launch date, September, or like somewhere in between there, the differentiation of like who to speak to first. The Kaya Wright brand, who, of course, I'm the celebrity stylist, the Emmy winner, all of these things, that I have all my accolades or whatever, and to differentiate it from Muse Hair, my brand, and what to come out with first. Because sometimes I think it gets a little convoluted, because a lot of, like brand, different companies come to approach me, Kaya Wright, and I have a brand as well, and I'm about to launch as well. So sometimes I think it's a little hard to decide like what to focus on. Should I be focusing on Kaya Wright so that I can feel more authentic and da-da-da-da-da? Or should I be riving up for the brand? Or should I be doing both at the same time?
Which one's more developed, you said?
Well, Kaya Wright, of course, is more developed, but also I'm associated with being like, the girl you come to for wigs and celebrity and, all of these other things as well. So, but I'm launching a brand. I'm actually not even launching it. I think I'm just expanding the brand, because I've already had wigs, extensions, and all these other things. So I'm expanding the brand. So
Okay, got you. So
okay.
I kind of, one of the examples I gave y'all earlier, I want you to kind of look at her, which is Tamika Murphy. So Lonnie Taylor was her brand when I first worked with her. And in the last year, we just had the first year of the anniversary for the new brand, which is the lab. And she has an issue with this too, but starting off, she was saying the same thing. And I was telling her, like, you need to allow your celebrity presence when it comes to being Alani Taylor, the brand behind the brand, to help build this other baby. So because you already have credibility, and why lose that credibility? Why restart over? And you can launch this brand faster when you intertwine it. So one of the things that we do, like for instance, she just did what is it? Ashanti. She just did Ashanti and Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion video, his. She designed for that video, and the red dress in it went viral. So one of the things that we have been putting out, like in media, as far as in publicists, that this was also created at, of course, her company, the new company, the lab. So it's building the recognition while she's doing this stuff as Alani Taylor. I suggest doing it that way. That way you're not working twice as load. And then also you're building that, so you're building the SEO of that other company while you are in the digital presence, while you're, working on your other brand. And then eventually that baby brand will be able to be where it's known all by itself. And then you can kind of, I guess, separate the two. If you have the money to be able to have two different PR firms, then I suggest eventually doing that. That way one can just focus on the, you know, the rise of the other brand. But if you're working with a publicist now, that's the way I would do it. That way you don't have to have two separate pots of income that you have to be pouring out on this brand. You can kind of do it that way and save you some money.
Got it. Got it. So it's two different, so it's treated as two different companies then,
Yeah,
essentially.
it is.
Oh,
really
I
is
gotcha. Gotcha.
different company.
Two PR budgets. Two PR budgets.
It really is. Eventually, when you get the story out there, crafting the story out there and stuff, the story might not be exactly the same. You are still part of both of those stories, but I don't know if that story of your other brand, if you wanted to go a different direction. I know for hers, it was where we want to promote the manufacturing company and that we want to help build other Black brands. And so that storyline is different from her other company, which is Alani Taylor, which is building Black legacy for her daughter. So, you know, we're intertwining it right now, but eventually we are going to separate the two because the lab is becoming a recognition of, you know, on their own ranking by itself, where we'll just need two different teams to keep on dedicating time and the focus towards that brand, keep on getting bigger. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I have a quick question as well. My name is Nicole of WH Farms, and we are a seed to sell cannabis botanical manufacturing company. So we make body care and wellness products using CBD as our raw main ingredient from our farm. And we're having it's interesting because to your point about developing your story, we always find ourselves not knowing what part to share when we show up in various spaces. Do you have any recommendations or activities that you kind of take your clients through as you're kind of guiding them through how they should pull out what they need to develop as it relates to that brand story that can really stick to the ears of, say, an influencer or a media outlet that may be interested in learning more about?
I say less is more. I tell people all the time. I have a client right now. I literally am working with him right now because he gets in front of the camera, unfortunately, and he wants to say his whole life story. and I have to let him know that, you know, with media, sometimes media could take certain things you say and twist it, or necessarily take it and you probably didn't mean it in that way, and just, you know, it can go left. So less is more. And also just sticking to the point, sticking to the questions, being, you know, precise is probably the best bet you could do in any interview. And I heard you ask me another question. I'm sorry, I lost it.
No, that was pretty much, you know, just really how to pull out or what to extract from the brand story to craft what you feel, you know, lands best on the ears of, like Ryan said, all of us have an impact brand in some way. Like our stories are derived from the impact that we desire to make. And many of us found the need based on our own need to provide ourselves a solution. And so if everyone's kind of saying the same thing, then what parts of it do you find as a professional are best to extract so that it allows differentiation?
Your mission is always going to be your story, your why, and I suggest looking up the 5 whys. Like those are always going to be the things that's going to stand out more to anybody. Media, I feel as though for sure. Influencers, a lot of influencers connect with your mission and why you choose to do certain things. I know for me, even as a publicist, even as a consumer, sometimes I am more interested. I'll buy a brand if it resonates aligned with a story that maybe that is close to home to me. You know what I'm saying? So some of those things, and I might not even like the brand that much, but I will invest in it because I know now a little bit more about the brand than that, you know, what the product actually does. So sometimes that right there would just get you a fan pool right there. So I say stick to the 5 whys, stick to your mission, clean cut, you know, less is more. And also as the CEO of a company too, I have learned too that sometimes people knowing a little bit about you and why you got into this helps as well too, because you know your brand has a story, but who's behind the brand? There's so many brands that I know that grow and no one knows who owns that brand. No one knows the, you know, really why they created that brand. And it's good to see sometimes why a CEO founded something besides just you know, necessarily make money, and they seen that there was a need there, but maybe it was personal to you. Maybe that, you know, and that resonates with people too in media.
Got it. Thank you.
Hi, Michelle. Quick question for you. I'm Ov, the founder of Cosmetrics AI. We analyze the condition of people's hair and then make recommendations as to what they should use to solve any hair issues that they have. My question is about live shopping. Have you seen any brands pick up interest in live shopping from influencers? And is that something that you're currently looking to include in what you do?
Interesting. So I definitely feel like there is certain publicists who specialize in certain areas. And live, you said shopping. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay,
That's right.
I haven't had any experience with like, are you mean like a live shopping, like maybe network? Is that what you mean? Can you explain to me?
So some brands at the moment are using influencers to like go live on TikTok, so that they and platforms like that, so that they can bring their audiences onto the show, and then basically sell whatever they have to sell during some sort of live event that they're doing.
I have never heard of that. So that's amazing. I'm gonna have to do some research. You challenged me today. So I have not heard about that. Now, what I was thinking when you said it was more like a QVC type thing, but I didn't know that was going on really so much on social media. So that's another thing I need to research. So you gave me homework today. So, but yeah, that's amazing. I'm not really for sure, but I would say there is probably someone out there that's more experienced in that as a publicist, that's worked with live shopping events, and maybe will be able to help you curate that better. I'll have to do some research to find out more about that, and I appreciate that. But I will say, by experience, as far as and similar to that, like a QVC, so to speak, there is a Black company that I am helping, actually a sister company. So we at Plugstar, a lot of publicists know this, but a lot of brands don't know this. We also white label our services to other PR firms. So their clients would never know that we are the ones that actually are working with them to make it happen. But you know, we are. So we were on contract with those PR firms. So one of the PR firms that we're under contract with, which I could say only so much, this brand that we're working with that is underneath their roster is like a Black QVC brand. So what they're national on TV right now, but they're getting bigger. And one thing we're working with them is getting brands on their show to be highlighted, because their mission is that Black brands are not for just, you know, a Black History Month. It's, you know, 365 days a year. And they want to get into the stories of why these brands are being made and who's behind the brand a little bit more. And so it's a little bit different than the regular QVC outlet. But yeah, so we work on that. So we work on placement as far as in that, and making sure the story is being told right on that outlet. And they do live sales. So that's probably the only experience I have as far as in that, but it's more on a TV network type thing. So
that sounds cool as well. Would you be able to share the name of the platform?
I can't, just because I I can't really say, but I will say this because we're white label, we're on contract with them, and I you know, since I kind of told you already that I don't want to put us in any type of situation, but what I will say is just Google, just Google kind of what I was saying that company does, and it's like the only one out there, so you'll be good.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for attending today's session. Michelle, this has been fantastic. A lot of interested folks, a lot of great opportunities, a lot of amazing insight. We appreciate you for being here with us today. Is there a best way for us to contact you if, you know, anyone has any questions or wants to follow up and talk about collaboration at all?
Oh, yes, certainly. If you could go to that next slide.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you. It's on there. It has all my information. You can email me as well at info@plugstart.net. That is on the scan code. Any questions that I may not got to, definitely feel free to email me. If I had to set up a consultation to get to it, I, you know, most definitely will. I will be kind of like off the radar for about a weekend or so. We're actually just announcing that we're going to be working with a TV channel, travel channel. So we'll be working on their newest show on that, and we'll be looking for brands for that. So if you're interested in that, please email me as well too. And I'll send you the link to be able to see if any of your brands match with any of the episodes that they're looking for product placements for. And they will get back with you on that if your pick.
Ooh, thank you so much for touching on that, Michelle. Sorry. Okay, we actually had one more quick question from Beverly. I'm so sorry, Beverly. I meant to get to this earlier. She wanted to know how much the different tiers of your services, like, is there a range on cost that would be helpful to share?
Yes. So for small businesses, I would say for range, I'll say about 1,500 a month to 3,500. The range is different based on the work, really, the amount of stuff that they want us to do in the 3 month of a retainer that we need to do it on, and also the work they've done from their selves. Also, you know, I'm always getting in trouble all the time by my staff all the time because I'm one of those. I be happy when they get a consultation with one of them because they say you hear someone's story and you fall in love with it and you give them discounts. And I'm like, yeah, they're like, you need to stop doing that. Yeah, I know. I tend to do that. So but generally I would say my staff, they're better on the pricing. I'm more of a heart person. So you know, so I can fluctuate that whenever I want. That's the power of being CEO. So I will do a consultation with whoever that needs me, and we will just kind of go from there. And I look forward to, even if we don't, like I tell people all the time, we don't, sometimes it doesn't make sense to connect in a business standpoint. Pick the PR firm that is the best fit for you. And if we're not, and we do a consultation, my staff and me, we have a referral list. We will give you a referral list of PR firms that we are in partnership that we highly recommend. They are probably better suited, but still stay in contact. I'm big about networking. So let's build, let's network, let's grow together. Let's, you know, see how we can establish a better relationship in the future.
Well, Beverly, excuse me, Michelle. Sorry, one of those days. Michelle, again, thank you so much. I told y'all it was going to be a good session. Definitely delivered. This was amazing, Michelle. Looking forward to
thank y'all for having me.
Really glad to have you. But everyone, we will be mindful of time. If you'd like this recording, please feel free to reach out. And if you'd like Michelle's information, please be sure to scan the QR code or reach out to me directly or email founders@thebraintrust.com for some of these details. So
Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you. And we will see you on Friday's call with Byron Whitmore of Macy's Opportunity Fund as he talks about some of the funding products that they have on the debt and SBA loan side of things. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. Take care.